Hi, I'm Holly.
I'm Charisse.
And welcome to Ask Mom. Today we are talking about
Self-talk.
how you talk to yourself. Are you mean?
Are you a bully to yourself?
Are you the mean girl in your life?
Could happen. Could happen.
You know, the truth is most of us are our worst mean girl. There may be someone mean at your school, but I bet you can be meaner to yourself.
To yourself. And that is what self-talk is all about.
That's what it means. And the funny thing is that not a lot of people talk about it, and so I think a lot of people don't even realize how mean they are to themselves.
We're talking about you're going to take that math test and you're horrible at math. I'm never going to get 100% on that test. I don't get it.
I'm not smart enough.
I'm not smart enough. Guess what? You get your test back and you got exactly what you thought you were going to get.
Or I'm not pretty enough.
I've never thought that.
About you. Thank you. Or, you know, I mean, there's a million mean messages that you can tell yourself all through your day. And so what we wanted to do is spend a little bit of time talking about how can we get out of that cycle. And if you think, oh, I never do that, well, spend like a couple of days
with yourself,
paying attention to your thoughts. Because sometimes we don't pay attention to our thoughts. We don't realize all the things that we're telling ourselves. And pay attention to how many negative things come out of you, either in your own words or that you're saying to yourself. And you may find you have something to work on, because most of us do. This isn't something some people do. Most people do it. And it may not be every day for some people, but it's still something that you need to be aware of. But the messages that you say to yourself are things you can control. And so maybe right now there's so many of them screaming at you in your head that it's going to be a long process. It's going to take time. But maybe you just start conquering them like a little at a time. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So maybe you decide, I'm really going to be conscious of the times when I criticize the way that I look, or I compare myself with others. And I'm going to really try to stop whenever I have one of those thoughts. I'm really going to stop myself, and I'm going to try to replace that thought with either just stop the thought or try to replace it with something positive.
I think, replacing it with something positive is the best thing.
Just, stopping yourself in your tracks long enough to go, okay, I'm not going to entertain that thought anymore. I'm going to stop that thought right there. And if you keep stopping those thoughts, they're going to come a whole lot less frequently until maybe one day you'll be without having those thoughts all the time.
Well, I think you've told yourself those thoughts for so long that it just becomes a pattern. To tell yourself that you are, and to keep, inside your head, even if you're like, I don't believe it, you just keep telling it. Pretty soon, it's going to be believable to you, and you'll walk upright a little bit better. You'll be smiling a little bit more because your confidence will be higher. I mean, you're telling yourself the positive things and not the negative things. I mean, the minute you start saying the negative stuff, you start getting the negative posture, the slumped over, the head down, the I'm not worthy, and other people are going to view you that same way because that's what you're projecting.
Right, and oftentimes there's at least one thing you like about the way you look. So if you're focusing on beauty, focus on the thing you really like. Maybe you really like your hair, or maybe you really like your eyes, or whatever, and just go, that's something someone else wishes they could have, my pretty eyes or my pretty hair, and maybe I'm just thankful that I have that. And so, yeah, I know. Sometimes people get trapped in extremes, and so everything they think is, I hate this, or this is impossible. They're those kinds of people where they talk like that and they think like that all the time. And so...
Could never happen. Never.
Ever. And so if you find you're that way and you would really like to get out of that, change whatever you think, whatever your extreme thinking is on something, to a question instead. Like, instead of saying, this is impossible, try to replace that with a question like, how can I handle this? So all of a sudden there's possibilities in the impossible, right? More than likely it isn't impossible, whatever's going on. There is an end, there is a light, there is a solution, and to be able to reframe it. Or if you're in a group that always, everything's negative, everything, the way you talk about each other, the way you talk about others, the way you look at school, the way you think about everything in your life is boring and stupid and you hate it and it's impossible, find a new friend. Because you're going to be that. You're going to end up that, and you're probably that more than you think if you've been hanging around that for a long time.
Right.
Who needs that in their life? Seriously? Everyone goes through a slump. It just happens, where it just feels like the world is bad, and
you're having hormonal.
And it could be hormonal. That's a good point, too, since we do so many videos on your period. You might chart when you're feeling that way and see if it happens the next month, because it probably will. But sometimes when I get in a place like that, I think if they were feeling that way about themselves, the way I'm feeling about myself right now, what would I do for them? What would I say to them? What would I whatever? Because sometimes you just get trapped and it's like you can't even think of a way out. But if you're able to just take your feelings and imagine them on someone you really care about, and imagine what you would say and how you would encourage them and what you would do for them, and you just do those things for yourself, you can get out of it faster. I also do that with food.
You mean like a box of See's candy?
It has nothing to do with this video, but sometimes I'll be like reaching for the box of See's candy again, and then I'll be thinking, would I think that was a good idea for my children right now? I guess I shouldn't do that.
But then if you put the salt on the chocolate, that's kind of a good idea.
We had a chocolate bar. It was kind of boring the other day, and so Charisse and I licked the top and then salted it. It's a salt grinder. That's why I was doing this.
I licked my own, just so you know.
Yeah, I didn't lick Charisse's and then salt it and hand it to her.
No.
We salted it.
Gross. So what ways can you get more positive?
I don't know. Do you have some ideas, Charisse?
Chocolate. And if you don't have chocolate in the house, a good song could help you. Music.
Yes.
Always gets you excited. And
I think in your teenage years, music has a big impact. I mean, how
now.
many people do you talk to that will say, "Oh, when I hear that song, it takes me back to"?
Yeah, so make sure you're careful what songs you're listening to. Because you could also just listen to a song, you're like, oh.
Music is powerful. That's why it has such a huge place in our world, in our society. And so, you know, like if you have to come up with your own little playlist online that is, you know, 10 songs that bring you up, do that. Because then you can put your earphones on and close your eyes and go, okay, I need to get to my happy place, and this is going to help me get there. What's another idea, Charisse?
Maybe books. If you're literate, you could read them.
Books are a good idea.
Yeah, aren't they?
Sometimes it's just escape books are good. Please don't read depressing things.
Oh, yeah.
Because seriously...
I got to tell you about that, because I went to Hawaii one time, and a friend recommended a book, and at the time I wasn't reading a lot of different stuff, so I didn't really know, and it had like Oprah's book club, and I read it, and what possessed me to read that thing to the end, I'll never know. I was so depressed.
And it affects your mood. If you can be depressed in Hawaii, you know it's bad. So seriously, if you're having a hard time, find books that lift you up, take you to a different happy place, not to the depressing place. Don't do that.
No,
don't do that.
With you. People, find people that you love hanging out with, that you like laughing with. I always tell my kids laughter is the best medicine, and I'm a junkie, and I'm also a dealer. So there you go, right there.
Yeah, spending time with people that, you know, think good things about you, think good things about their lives, have healthy circumstances in their lives, you are going to feel instantly a lot better about yourself. Spend some time every day feeling thankful. And
you might be watching this going, well, you don't even understand. I have nothing to be thankful for. And I just find that a lot of people always look at the other side of the fence where the grass is like super green, and oh, if I just had that, and if I just had this, then I'd be really happy, and then I'd be thankful, and they have so much more, whether it's, you know, things or personality traits that you admire of somebody else. But you know what, when you look to the other side of the fence, man, there's a lot of people that have a lot less than you have, and they're thankful for even just what they have. So
That's true.
you can find at least 5 things to be thankful for.
So I like doing it first thing when I wake up in the morning. I just want to feel grateful. I want to feel thankful for a little while, so that, you know, then you start your day already on a positive note. You're not like rushing out of bed and I'm going to be late and everything else. But if you can start your mindset on a positive thing like that, you tend to carry it more throughout your day or longer through your day than if you wake up and you're like, I still have nothing to wear.
I'm so tired. I wake up a lot like that.
Yeah, I do too, actually.
This is not something that's going to happen overnight. This is something you're going to have to work on. I mean, if those patterns have been set with the way that you're thinking, if you're a stinking thinker, then they're set, right? So you're going to need to break those patterns, and it doesn't come easy.
Right, and sometimes you live with people that reinforce that.
Totally.
Sometimes, I mean, not everyone lives in a household where their parents are telling them,
where it's emotionally healthy.
Right. You may be the only person at home that's going to do that for yourself. And so do it. Write down those affirmations, those things you know that are good about yourself, and for every time someone says something that hurts you and brings you down, go read those and remind yourself of who you really are, because,
because you're good enough, you're smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like you.
Yes, even if sometimes it's not your own family.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's why we need friends. So anyway, I'm Holly.
I'm Charisse.
Thanks for tuning in today. We hope it puts good, healthy things into your head. And if you have some good success with this, I always love to hear your comments or have you write us. And if you're like, wow, I'm going to give that a shot, a week or two from now, let us know. Like, did it make a difference? And are you feeling healthier? And that's what we want for you. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.